a quorum yet, but I will let you know as soon as we are.
Join the meeting.
All right, Mr. Vice Chair, we have a quorum and we can go ahead and get started.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the Transportation Review Committee. This meeting is now called to order at 10:03 a.m. Please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I will call the members alphabetically by member agency. Ted Wolf, Apache Junction. Ted, I do see you. Unfortunately, I do not hear you. I will come back at the end. Paul Patnay, ADOT. Raj Thowdam, Avondale.
Present.
Thank you. Scott Zipprich, Buckeye. Hal Marin, Cave Creek.
Here.
Thank you. Hezekias Rocha as proxy for Jason Crampton, Chandler.
Here.
Thank you. Jorge Gastelum, El Mirage. Romero Trulli, FHWA.
Here.
Thank you. Christopher Salas, Florence. Andy Whistler as proxy for David Janover, Fountain Hills.
Here.
Thank you. Jason Hafner, Town of Gilbert. Parub Adabala as proxy for Shahid Abbas, Glendale.
Here, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Bridges, Goodyear. Amanda Nielsen, Guadalupe.
Present.
Thank you. Keith Dranaski, Litchfield Park. Scott Nodes, City of Maricopa.
Good morning, present.
Good morning, thank you. Vice Chair Wilcox.
Present.
Thank you, sir. RJ Zeter, Mesa. Shar Johnson, Paradise Valley. Joseph Brown, Phoenix. John Kraft as proxy for Christopher Wanamaker, Pinal County. Heather Wilkie as proxy for Mohammed Yosef, Queen Creek.
Present.
Thank you. Mark Melanchenko, City of Scottsdale.
Here.
Thank you. Kristen Taylor as proxy for Eric Boyles, City of Surprise.
Here.
Thank you. Chase Wallman as proxy for Shelley Seiler, Tempe.
Here.
Thank you. Randy Babchuk, Tolleson. Herschel Workman, Wickenburg. Grant Anderson, Youngtown. Did I miss anybody? Please state your name and your agency.
Yeah, I popped on late. Sorry, Joe Brown from City Finish.
No problem. Thank you.
Our next item is call to the audience. MEG provides the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MEG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public are invited to submit written comments via the MEG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. Carrie, have we received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
Thank you, Vice Chair. We did not receive any public comments for the call to audience.
Thank you, Carrie. Moving on to item number 3, Transportation Policy and Planning Director's Report. Our next item is the MEG Transportation Policy and Planning Director's Report. Tim Stroll will provide the report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wilcox. Good morning, members of the Transportation Review Committee. I have 3 updates this morning for you. The first one is to let you know that we are kicking off a truck parking plan this summer. The plan will be the kind of the second phase of the truck parking study they did before in the past, but this time we're going to be focusing on solutions and an implementation plan. Brian Rubin, MEG Transportation Planner 3, will be managing this study. He is currently getting a consultant under contract at this time, and then we'll be reaching out to member agencies to get folks together to help manage this study. So be on the lookout for that. Next item is regarding electric vehicle charging infrastructure program. Yesterday, the MEG Regional Council approved the EV charging infrastructure program guidelines. After the meeting, a memo was sent to this committee announcing a call for projects for electric vehicle charging infrastructure program siting plans. Please note that the applications have a very quick turnaround and are due in the MEG by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 29th. Late applications will not be accepted. If you have any questions, please reach out to Patrick Stone after this meeting. My last item, I'd like to inform the committee that the fiscal year 25 active transportation design assistance call for projects will be open on Monday, June 3rd. Information will be posted on the active transportation website, and an email reminder with the application submittal and scoring schedule will be sent out. The applications, just as a heads up, will be due June 28th. So the call will go out June 3rd. Will be due June 28th at 10 a.m. That's a Friday. If you have any questions, like I said, more information is to be sent out later on. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please reach out to Kay Bork here at MAG. Mr. Vice Chair, that completes my report.
Thank you, Tim. If members have any questions, please contact Tim after the meeting. Moving on to item 4, informational items. There are no information items on the agenda, so we will move forward to agenda item number 5, which is approval of the consent agenda. Items 5A through 5D are on the consent agenda. Does any member of the committee have any questions or request a presentation on any of these items? Hearing none, prior to approval of the consent agenda, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on any item on the consent agenda. Carrie, have we received any online written comments for the consent agenda?
Thank you, Vice Chair. We did not receive any online written comments for the consent agenda.
Very good, thank you. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5D?
Al Marin, Cave Creek, so moved.
Thank you, Hal. Do I have a second?
Scott Notes, City of Maricopa, second.
Thank you, Scott. We will have those participating in the meeting now take part in the voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Staff will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their cameras. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote so that staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. Can I have a voice vote? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take a roll call vote of the members who did not turn on their cameras?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Everyone had their cameras on. Good work, everybody.
Thank you, Carrie. Moving on to item number 6, revisions to the arterial life cycle program policies and procedures. This item is on the agenda for recommendation of approval and will be presented by Patrick Stone, the new Deputy Transportation Director for Program. Is that correct, Miss? Congratulations, Mr. Stone.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wilcox, members of the TRC. A pleasure to be here today to present this item. Next slide, please. Some context for the presentation today, brief history lesson talking about Prop 400 ALCP. Next, a discussion of policies and procedures as they relate to the life cycle program. Also want to spend some time talking about the working group and finally finish up with next steps. Next slide, please. So as noted on the screen, the Proposition 400 ALCP, two different funding components. 10.5% of the half-cent sales tax is allocated to those arterial improvements, as well as a portion of the federal funding suballocated to the region. The two items really to focus on this slide, the sales tax collection currently ends December 31st, 2025, and then the current ALCP, as it is envisioned, ends on June 30th, 2026. Starting from that basis, we know when we get to the end of fiscal year 2026 that we will have projects both programmed and underway, and these policy updates are intended to help address those projects and the needs of those projects. Next slide, please. So I wanted to take a moment, talk about the policies and procedures. As you can see on screen, the original policies and procedures were approved back in June of 2005 by Regional Council. Since that time, numerous updates to the policies have been made, notable among them addressing inflation, especially as a result of the Great Recession, how to handle program balances, and then finally, last October, Regional Council approved a policy update to handle federal fund advancement. Next slide, please. So the working group's actually the backbone of this process, critical to all things ALCP. As you can see, been in place since the inception of the ALCP, was the catalyst for those policy updates you saw on the prior slide. Also has played a critical role in administering and delivering the ALCP, both those policies, but also working through forms, documents, and processes. And to that end, as we came to discuss the end of Prop 400 ALCP, we reconvened the working group, had 3 meetings beginning in March, going into April to discuss both policy revisions and then how we translate those needs of member agencies into policy updates. So we queried the group, explained where we thought we had gaps or where we needed to make adjustments, then had the group help craft and deliver those policy updates. As noted, 3 working group meetings. Also, 2 times we provided the draft ALCP updates out to the group to provide comments and feedback. Next slide, please. So I want to take some time to actually go through the substantive changes to the ALCP first, starting with section 2, which deals with the programming of the ALCP. As you can see on the screen, 3 different sections were updated, first being 220. This deals with the different types of ALCP updates that are allowed. And here we did a few changes. The first being to put in language to prohibit project deferrals after June 30th, 2026. Reason being is that in working with the working group, The ALCP will be well baked at that date. We know what projects are left, so we didn't see the need to have deferrals allowed. Also, it introduces risk into the program. Next, substitute projects. The ALCP policies do allow member agencies to substitute projects. The consensus was allowing that for one additional year, which would be fiscal year 2027, as you can see on the screen, the dates, and that any substitute projects would have to have a similar or more condensed schedule than the project they were substituting. And then finally, any scope modification request after June of 2026 cannot delay or impact the project schedule. Moving on to section 260, dealing with availability of program funds. Added some language to clarify fund balances and what happens with fund balances. And then section 270, which deals with project savings, specifically putting language in there for federally funded projects and how to treat project savings in a post-June 2026 world. Next slide, please. Two other sections updated, section 3 project details. To program reimbursements, there are requirements of the ALCP policies about how reimbursements are programmed. Some clarification to that language to add an additional layer saying when we get to June of 2026 to program reimbursements in 2027 and or 2028, a project needs to be at a 60% level of design. Any associated clearances are in place for environmental, and then the right-of-way process, if needed, had begun. Also, as you see, any reimbursements post-28 would require a more rigorous process to be included into the ALCP. And then in section 4, ALCP project requirements, section 420 was really just adding language to denote the change made in section 330. So we had to have some cohesion between the two sections. The policy also includes some minor administrative changes, some grammatical updates, things of that nature. Next slide, please. And with that, Vice Chair Wilcox, members of TRC, that concludes my presentation. I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions you or the committee may have. Thank you.
Hi, this is John.
Sir.
I just joined the meeting.
Thank you, John. I marked you down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Do any members have any questions or comments? Patrick's presentation? Hearing none, prior to voting, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. Carrie, have we received any online written comments for this agenda item?
Thank you, Vice Chair. We did not receive any online written comments for this item.
Thank you, Carrie. Is there a motion to recommend approval?
I motion to approve. It's Zacchaeus with Chandler.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second John Kraft.
Thank you, John. Again, we will vote by turning on our cameras and unmuting our audio. Members, please leave your cameras on until the roll call vote. Can I have a voice vote? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, please say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take a roll call vote of the members who did not turn on?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Again, everyone had their cameras on. Great work, everybody.
Terrific. Thank you. Move on to item number 7, the draft fiscal year 2025 arterial life cycle program. This item is on the agenda for recommendation of approval and will be presented by Carrie Casper, Ag Transportation Planning.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Hello, members of TRC. I'm happy to be with you all today. Today, I'll be presenting on the draft fiscal year 2025 arterial life cycle program. Next slide, please. So just a quick look at what I'll be discussing today and give you sort of an understanding of the purpose of today's request. Like Patrick did, I'll give you a little brief history lesson and then talk about revenues, project updates, and programmed reimbursements. Next slide, please. So as Patrick said, the ALCP, the Arterial Life Cycle Program, is the financial management tool for the arterial component of the Regional Transportation Plan. This provides a listing of arterial projects funded through Proposition 400 and remains fiscally constrained. In accordance to the policies and procedures, each year the ALCP is updated based on revenue forecasts, both RARF and federal funds, updating project schedules, project costs, and adjusting programmed reimbursements. Next slide, please. So this gives us a snapshot of the projected revenues for FY25. As you would expect, as we near the end of the ALCP, we see less movement within the revenues. So not much to see here. There's a slight increase, but nothing out of the ordinary. Next slide, please. So for this process, workbooks were sent out to member agencies in December of 2023 to update and verify each of their projects, including schedules and costs. And this really informed how we generated the draft ALCP for 2025. Several project change requests were brought through Street Committee this year to ensure that member agencies are able to get their desired projects done before the end of the ALCP. Next slide, please. So programmed reimbursements, throughout the process, the reimbursements are adjusted to make sure they are up to date with the schedules and the programming policies. Any remaining reimbursements in fiscal year 24 are shifted to fiscal year 25 after the final payment reports are submitted for the year. And I just want to thank the member agencies and the staff for assisting in this effort with getting draft ALCP together. It really is a joint effort between MAG staff over here and your member agencies to get the most accurate draft to bring forward to you all today. Next slide, please. So lastly, just a couple of notes to point out. As Patrick said in the previous agenda item, the half-cent sales tax collection goes through December 31st of 2025, and there's only 1 year remaining for the tax collection under Prop 400. So we will continue to coordinate with member agencies and member agency staff to finalize remaining projects and get them reimbursed. There will be an opportunity for federal fund advancement in fiscal year 25, and we're already working with eligible agencies in preparation for that effort next year. And again, as Patrick said, we have been developing the policies and procedures for the end of the Prop 400 ALCP by the ALCP working group. And we are going to continue working with the member agencies and continue monitoring project balances, program balances, and make sure everything is finalized. Next slide, please. Mr. Vice Chair, members of TRC, the action requested is up on the screen, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Carrie. Do any members have any questions or comments of Carrie? Hearing none, prior to voting, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. Carrie, have we received any online written comments for this agenda item?
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have not received any online written comments.
Thank you. Is there a motion to recommend approval of agenda item 7?
I recommend approval.
Thank you, John. Can I get a second?
I'll second it. This is Amanda from Guadalupe.
Thank you, Amanda. We will vote by turning on our cameras and unmuting our audio. Members, please leave your cameras on until the roll call vote is complete. Can I have a voice vote? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take a roll call of the members who did not turn on their cameras?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Again, everyone had their cameras on, 3 for 3, and the motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Moving on to agenda item 8, requests for future agenda items. Are there any requests from the membership for an item on a future agenda item? Hearing none, the next agenda item is comments from the committee. Are there any comments or announcements from the membership today? Hearing none, first of all, everybody have a nice, relaxing holiday weekend. Enjoy yourself, enjoy the weather. It might be one of the last weekends, but we can actually get outside and enjoy it with the summer ahead. And with that, the next meeting of the Transportation Review Committee will be on Thursday, June 27th at 10 a.m. With no further business, today's meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr.